A very good morning. Over the weekend, EURUSD has started to receive quite some bullish news, just like gold. We have seen attacks in Iran, we have seen a Russian oil tanker get invaded, and we have also seen that the head of the central bank of the United States has been criminally prosecuted. And this is the very first time that the head of the Federal Reserve is being prosecuted criminally. So this is overall causing a lot of uncertainty in the world and overall causing the dollar currently to sell off and gold to rise here overnight on the Monday Asian session. Good morning, guys. My name is Fabio, and as always, we dive into the daily market updates here for the major dollar pairs and, of course, gold. Now, I'm currently long on EURUSD from the lows, which I opened, or where I opened a position last night. After it was announced that the Federal Reserve head Jerome Powell was going to be served with criminal charges. This obviously causes a lot of uncertainty within the markets, guys, and furthermore, also the overall trust in the independence of the Federal Reserve is now definitely questioned, as Trump is definitely doing everything in his power to take away that independence of the Federal Reserve. And this is overall causing now the dollar to dump and gold and EURUSD to push up higher. So EURUSD currently in a long position. Put my stop loss here underneath the lows with around a stop loss of 135 pips. I will be targeting the overall highs first of all, and then potentially 1.19. Furthermore, last week we didn't get any overall lower change of market structure, so no position for myself last week. We can clearly see that the overall supply zone here remained in control, and ever since or after that, the market just continued to trickle down lower. Now, my overall analysis still stands where I am looking for further upside here on EURUSD. I don't really see any clean price action here. That's the problem with last week's price action. It was just choppy and in towards the downside, hence why I didn't really wait for anything else, but I just took a wider stop loss, and I'll be waiting for some cleaner price action here to start forming before getting some potential new positions. But on EURUSD, definitely waiting for higher prices to be reached, and for that next impulse further in towards the upside, because daily overall analysis still stands. We can clearly see that we're in a bullish trend where the green phases signify the overall impulse in towards the highs, and the orange phases the overall pullbacks. Now we can clearly see again overall impulse in towards the highs, pullback phase took place in towards the lowest liquidity low here, and ever since that lowest liquidity low got taken out, we've seen that the market continues overall impulsive phase in towards the highs. Now, again, you can agree with me or not, I don't really care, but I mainly trade these higher time frame swings at the moment just because the market is not respecting the lower time frame price action on, for example, the 1 hour, 2 hour too much. So what I'm looking for is just a bigger swing in towards the upside based on the overall news of the fact that Trump is trying to prosecute the head of the Federal Reserve, which is obviously having its overall or taking a hit on the dollar. And furthermore, I'm also still expecting further rate cuts to take place, which is in turn also bullish or bearish for the dollar and bullish for EURUSD. So looking for further upside there on EURUSD. If you are looking for a, let's say, cleaner overall setup, like I mentioned, there's not really a time frame that gives us the cleanest possible entry form. Overall, what we can then only wait for pretty much is for this high to break, a clean demand zone to be formed. So we wait for pretty much the order flow to shift, and then on the overall pullback there, then we'll look for some new long opportunities. But I didn't really want to miss the opportunity of getting into an initial position here. So I'll be waiting and seeing how this plays out. And then obviously once that overall order flow shift comes, then I'll be looking for some new positions in towards the highs. Does it dump in towards the downside? I don't really care. I can, as you can see, take another hit of 135 pips. Overall, I'm still favoring the upside position on EURUSD, as the euro also had some good manufacturing data. Germany factory orders jumped the most in a year. Actually, that was data that came in on last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of good data coming out for the euro. Still, the dollar is getting hit with bad employment data. So I'm looking for that further upside there on EURUSD for now. Now going into the dollar index is then obviously taking a hit from this area of supply. As I mentioned in last week's video, I'm looking for pretty much shorts from either this supply zone here or the supply zone up top over here. We can see that the current supply zone is starting to push the markets down lower. Again, this mainly has to do with one, the overall prosecution of Jerome Powell, but two as well, Trump spoke yesterday on Air Force One, so his private plane, obviously, of the President of the United States, that it appears that Iran is starting to cross the red line, and he talked about that Iran is killing protesters. So this obviously means that, and if you go all the way to the bottom, the military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong option, and will make a determination. With other words, he's looking to pretty much invade Iran, which is obviously one, bullish for gold, but two, bearish for the dollar at the moment, due to the overall, let's say, vulnerability of the dollar that it is currently facing, with Trump obviously starting to invade Venezuela, starting to invade potentially Iran over the weekend as well, an oil tanker, that how it was, which was sailing underneath the Russian flag, also got invaded by the US. So the US is really getting involved with all these different things. The world doesn't like it when a currency gets involved with so many things, and that's why we can currently see that the dollar is dumping. So I'm looking for some further downside there on the dollar based on that, and then further fundamentally as well, I'll be looking at it. But based on these geopolitical situations, we can look for further sells on the dollar. Now, for the rest, don't really need to break it down too much, other than I'm just looking for a further downside push. Going into AUD USD or GBP USD, first of all, we can see that GBP USD started to rebound up higher. I mentioned this last week as well. Be careful, because we could just see a sweep of liquidity over here and then fuel another leg up. Do keep in mind that GU is a little bit risky. We did see the daily change of character in towards the downside take place here, meaning that to some extent, yes, this is now the overall supply zone. This supply zone took out what? Took out the final liquidity high, which is this high over here, the X, this blue dotted line. So if you look at GBP USD, the overall swing structures from this high in towards this low, the market retraced into premium pricing, and we took out liquidity, and we've seen a change of character in towards the downside here on the daily time frame. So this could be the perfect hedge position in towards the downside to hedge your Euro USD sells with around 190 or 200 pips stop loss, targeting around 400 pips. This could definitely be a move, as the pound is still very, very weak, and I'm still looking for shorts on the pound, though we will need to see if GBP USD is in the best expression. But if you are taking, for example, a Euro USD, then obviously GBP USD could be a good potential hedge. And then what you could do is wait for another change of character down and then start to scale in on the overall downside momentum. Though it is always risky to take the first change of character, because if you look here at the 4-hour time frame, there was obviously not a lot of liquidity in the overall push up. Then what happens? The market just kind of like comes back down to hunt these equal lows, hunts them, and then boom, V-shaped reversal now. So that's why I'm not the biggest fan of kind of like selling this first reaction. I would kind of like prefer to wait for somewhat of a trend to start forming, because there's such a, let's say, big space, right? 400 pips to kind of like trade this overall next impulsive move in towards the downside if it does start here. So why not just wait for another kind of like confirmed break and then get in on shorts on kind of like the double fractal break, as opposed to trading the very first one. So by waiting for that double fractal break, we can then wait and see if this is just liquidation to fill the next leg up, or if it's actually the real change of character, and then we just wait for a double fractal break and then we get in on the shorts. Okay, so that's what I'm waiting for in GBP USD before taking any shorts. Long's not really interested in, preferring Euro USD, as the euro is a lot stronger than the pound. Then AUD USD. AUD USD is pushing up higher relatively strongly, looking for further upsides, as we discussed last week. So last night we had some Australian household spending data come out, which was good for the Australian dollar, higher than expected. The number came in at 1%, whilst it was forecasted at 0.6%. So that is quite the beat of that number on household spending, and this is further increasing the overall let's say rate hike expectations that could come in the very near future for Australia. And Australia is one of the only G10 currencies, so one of the major currencies in the world, that is looking to higher its interest rates, and when a country hires interest rates or raises interest rates, then what happens? The currency becomes more attractive, further boosting the currency. Now, as we mentioned last week, we're still inside of this daily demand zone. Go to the 4-hour time frame. What's happened here? 4-hour time frame wise, we had the overall, let's say, impulse in towards the highs. We had liquidity here. We had a demand zone here, and pretty much after taking that demand zone, we've seen now the 4-hour change of character. So you could be in a long position from this change of character with a stop loss underneath the lows, targeting obviously a new higher high. So this is a perfectly fine position in my opinion. Then going into NZD USD, NZD USD is also rising further. Just missed out on that overall low that I was looking to take here on the daily time frame. To be honest, I was waiting for that low to take and then look for the long position again, as I highlighted last week. But yeah, didn't get that low. Let's see on NZD USD. I'll wait a little bit more maybe. Supply is still currently here in control. I'll be looking for the longs once that supply zone breaks, and then we can look for some new long positions on that. Not looking to get involved just yet. Then we have, of course, USD JPY. So USD JPY pushed up higher to the overall liquidity point, again, which we were looking at this one over here, which is also last year's yearly open, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit higher than the previous yearly open. With us taking out that high, there is potential for a drop. Let's keep our eyes open to see if we do get somewhat of a drop off this week / today, because USD JPY does have a lot of potential to drop. It's just that the yen basket is so extremely weak. If you look at the yen basket, it just keeps on dropping and dropping and dropping. So it doesn't really make sense to look for longs on USD JPY or shorts on USD JPY just because the yen is so weak. So you really need to kind of like see an intervention on that currency before it would be wise to get involved with it. But yeah, USD JPY does look good for a potential pullback down as you are consolidating here and you have taken out major liquidity. So now if you see the fire change of character, you could take some short-term shorts in towards the downside. In my opinion, it's not really good to look for longs at the moment on UJ. Then we have USD CHF. So USD CHF started to sell down lower from that overall internal liquidity high, which I mentioned, and I'll be looking for downside continuation from here for now. 4 hour time frame wise, we've seen a change of character or not. Yes, we have, meaning that this is pretty much now your supply zone. Is it the cleanest of price action? Not really, but with these kind of positions, you just pretty much just want to be entering on top of the liquidity, or just wait for that change of character to happen. Well, that happened, and now you could be holding onto a position like this. But yeah, not the cleanest, but overall, I'm just trying to guide you guys with potential shorting opportunities. That was either from this liquidity high here or this liquidity high here. And yeah, the first one is now starting to yield some results. So let's keep an eye on that. USD CAD also starting to sell off, looking for potential for the downside, similar to USD CHF, where we've taken out internal liquidity. The next kind of like liquidity high is situated here. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, you would need to wait now for this low to go. Then you have the order flow broken, and then you would have a supply zone. And then from that supply zone, you could look to sell this and start taking out all of these ascending lows. So just waiting for that change in order flow. And then I'll look for a short position on USD CAD. And then, of course, we have gold. Gold in itself is pushing up higher for several reasons, guys. Iran edges closer to a revolution that would reshape the world. So if the uprising succeeds in toppling the Islamic Republic, it would upend global geopolitics and energy markets with the risk of widespread chaos. Chaos is good for gold, hence why gold has been pumping on market open. Still in swing positions long. So yeah, good to see that position yielding, and obviously been talking for gold longs forever. Also, Bill Ackman, if you don't know him, make sure to Google him. He also said that it's over the weekend that it's pretty much a certainty that the US and Trump will come to the aid of the Iranian people, so invade Iran. Again, bullish for gold, bearish for the dollar. And then we have last of all here as well, again, more information about the potential response of the United States in Iran as well. So again, stay informed on what is happening, because these real life geopolitical events are influencing the markets and are pushing gold in towards the upside, or silver in towards the upside, and yeah, causing now this position to hit a beautiful 1 to 2 risk to reward. Share this as well with the stop loss and the TP inside our community. So yeah, great to see. And yeah, just looking for further upside continuation. Obviously now you've broken the high, which we expected. So now you can't really get into any new positions until some form of reaccumulation, or you will have to trade the lower time frame, being, for example, a 50-minute time frame. Wait for kind of like the high break, then wait for maybe a low break again, and then boom, look for longs again on the liquidation. But overall, just holding on to longs there on gold. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're back to normal schedule. So this week I'll be going live on Tuesday and Thursday, and also Wednesday inside Discord. Don't forget to leave a like. If you have any questions, let me know as always, and wish you all a fantastic trading day. Let me know if you want some more updates on the fundamentals like this. Thanks.